Can you forgive yourself? You've made a mistake, but can you forgive yourself and learn to move on? That is the central thesis of what Silent Hill 2 is about. Yeah, there's a town, fog, monsters, and shit like that. But that's not the reason why 20 years later, after its release, people are still making videos about this game. Silent Hill 2 is an exploration delving deep into the psychology and trauma of three different people, James Sunderland, Angela, and Eddie, each of which have been called to this town because of something in their past, a mistake that they did. And throughout the game, we learn how they answered the question of, can you forgive yourself and learn to move on? Silent Hill 2 starts with the antagonist of the game staring at the protagonist, as James looks into a dirty mirror in a public restroom that he found alongside the road as he approached Silent Hill. You know the type of bathroom, the type you only stop at because there's no other options. The floor is sticky, and it smells like someone recently smoked some cigarettes in here. James is here James is here at the outskirts of Silent Hill, driven by his desire to investigate how did Mary, whom had passed 3 years ago from that cursed disease, send him a letter telling him that she was waiting for him at their special place, at their favorite vacation spot, the once peaceful town of Silent Hill, now covered by a fog and an ominous silence. Silent Hill 2 was originally released in 2001, so there was conventions and control schemes that have fallen out of favor with developers in the player base, such as tank controls, that can make the handling feel a little bit weird to modern taste, but some would argue kinda enhances the experience of alienation and awkwardness while exploring the town.
In my restless dreams, I see that town, Silent Hill. You promised you'd take me there again someday, but you never did. Well, I'm alone there now, in our special place, waiting for you.
I got a letter. The name on the envelope said, Mary. My wife's name. It's ridiculous. Couldn't possibly be true. That's what I keep telling myself. A dead person can't write a letter. Mary died of that damn disease 3 years ago. So then, why am I looking for her? Our special place. What could she mean? This whole town was our special place. Does she mean the park on the lake? We spent the whole day there. Just the two of us, staring at the water. Could Mary really be there? Is she really alive? Waiting for me?
After the opening voiceover, our protagonist, James Sunderland, now has a clear motivation and goal to head into the town of Silent Hill and find out what really happened to Mary. And so his journey begins. But where will the town take him? After crossing through the woods, James approaches a church with a graveyard next to it. Here, he finds a kindred soul on her own journey. Angela can be found pacing back and forth in the graveyard. She seems particularly interested in one grave. James surprises her as he appears out of the fog.
Excuse me,
I'm sorry. I
No,
was
it's
just...
okay. I didn't mean to scare you. I'm kind of lost.
Lost?
Yeah. I'm looking for Silent Hill. Is this the right way?
Yeah. It's hard to see with this fog, but there's only the one road. You can't miss it.
Thanks.
But
Yes?
I think you'd better stay away. This town, there's something wrong with it. It's kind of hard to explain, but
Is it dangerous?
maybe. And it's not just the fog either.
Okay,
It's...
I got it. I'll be careful.
I'm not lying.
No, I believe you. It's just... I guess I really don't care if it's dangerous or not. I'm going to town either way.
But why?
I'm looking for... someone.
Who is it?
Someone... very important to me. I'd do anything if I could be with her again.
Me too. I'm looking for my mama. I mean my mother. It's been so long since I've seen her. I thought my father and brother were here, but I can't find them either. I'm sorry. It's not your problem.
I hope you find them.
Yeah, you too.
Part of Silent Hill's 2 reputation is that the dialogue will often sound weird or awkward. While that might be true, the dialogue does serve a function. If you pay attention, you'll notice that most of the dialogue in Silent Hill is very to the point and serves a function. In the conversation that James just had with Angela, we learned 1. There's only one road to Silent Hill. 2. Establishing that the town is dangerous. 3. That James doesn't care about his own safety. A theme explored in one of the possible endings. And 4. That Angela's looking for her mother, and she thought that she'd find her brother and father here in the graveyard, foreshadowing what we're gonna learn later. So the dialogue is awkward, and it doesn't really sound like how regular people talk, but within the context of a game, of establishing a world, and giving the player a clear next objective, it does serve the function. On his way into the city, James is able to find the chainsaw, since I've already completed a playthrough of Silent Hill 2. Following shadows that he sees in the fog, along with a trail of blood, James is able to zero in on the sound of static coming from a radio, where he encounters the first monster that he'll be seeing here in Silent Hill. The Lying Man appears like someone restrained in a straitjacket, trying to break free, writhing back and forth, almost looking like in pain. It can harm James by shooting acid at him from its midsection. One of the wikis says that the Lying Man is the physical manifestation of the memory of his sick wife on her deathbed and James's eternal suffering. Also, in this segment, notice the use of a tilted angle from the camera. This is called a Dutch angle, something that we'll see over and over again in Silent Hill 2. This odd viewing angle is meant to create a sense of uneasiness in the viewer, which fits the mood very well for a horror game. Despite being surprised, James is able to subdue the creature using the wooden plank, the first weapon that he would have found if not for having the chainsaw unlocked. One recurring characteristic of Silent Hill is that most of the weapons, at least at first, tend to be improvised items. The game doesn't want you to feel powerful, it wants you to feel vulnerable and threatened by the scary environment. Over the radio, James receives a message, seemingly from his dead wife, Mary, who passed 3 years ago, telling him to come find her, to come looking for her, reaffirming James's purpose. James continues his exploration into the fog, and before long, arrives at the town proper, finding the streets empty and completely obscured by a fog. Here and there, he will encounter more lion figures, making sure he doesn't get too comfortable in this new town, stalking him in the fog. The way Silent Hill 2 is set up, broadly speaking, there are 4 dungeons within Silent Hill, a dungeon being a unique area on the map that will block James's progress until he makes his way through it. Each area will have its own enemies, a set of puzzles to solve, and a boss fight. The 4 of them are the apartments, the hospital, the Historical Society / prison, and then the final dungeon being the hotel. Using the key that he found in the corpse, James is able to enter the Woodside Apartments, the first unique area or dungeon that he will have to make his way through. Just entering, he finds a map, which will make navigating the hallways a lot easier. These apartments, much like the rest of Silent Hill, appear long abandoned and run down, with graffiti all over the walls and trash on the floors. The hallways are dark, dank, and overrun with mold, making it a place where you innately feel disgusted and off-put. These nasty environments are characteristic to Silent Hill's sense of horror, as opposed to Resident Evil's. Resident Evil's type of horror relies more on jump scares, whereas Silent Hill tries to make you feel innately uncomfortable by presenting situations and locations that create a sense of disgust and repulse that you will carry with you even after you've turned off the game. Most of the time exploring the apartments will be revealing that most of the doors are locked. There's actually only a few accessible rooms in the entire building. Here we'll find different keys or different items to solve different puzzles or get past certain doors, and we'll also find a handgun and a flashlight, like we did in this room. The mannequin is the second type of monster James will encounter. It appears like the bottom half of 2 different mannequin dolls joined together at the waist, creating a sense of body horror in anybody that sees them. On the 3rd floor, James sees a key on the other side of the bars, and he sticks his arm out trying to reach it. Here we'll meet Laura, another one of the main characters of Silent Hill, though she is here for different reasons as Eddie, Angela, and James.
Ow! Hey, wait! Damn it.
Laura doesn't really make the best first impressions, as James has just found out. The monsters of Silent Hill present a little bit more of a threat here, because there's far less room to run around them, forcing you to combat them more frequently. Continuing to search the apartments, James finds one room where the tables, doors, and walls are riddled with bullet holes. In the shopping cart, he finds a handgun that's going to be useful to take down the monsters. James hears screaming north of his position. Walking down the hallway, he'll get the first glimpse of the tormentor that will be with him throughout most of his journey. The Red Pyramid Thing, the iconic enemy of Silent Hill 2, and one of the most emblematic pursuers in survival horror. Pyramid Head appears dressed like one of the executioners from the olden times in Silent Hill's history. But we'll learn more about that once we get to Toluca Prison. When Pyramid Head is first introduced, he's not doing very much. He's just standing there, letting you know that he can see you. In the darkness, James will notice that Pyramid Head is glowing a faint red, making him seem even more hostile and alien. Pyramid Head's only purpose in this game is to pursue and hunt James, though it's debatable which of the two is the real monster. James finds a room with a large blood streak originating from a chair placed in front of a TV.
Oh my god. Who could have?
In room 202, James will find an item that will allow him to solve the clock puzzle. Walking into a moth-infested room, James finds a hole that appears behind a sheet of some sort. Reluctantly, or perhaps eagerly, he sticks his arm into the hole to investigate. Silent Hill again playing on the sense of body horror and fear of the unknown, placing us vicariously through James in such an undesirable and unpleasant position. James feels a key and obtains the clock key, which he'll need to unlock the grandfather clock and be able to solve that puzzle. On a wall, James will find 3 names: Henry, Milfred, and Scott,
HMS, hour, minute, seconds. Looking what direction the arrows are facing will tell you how to arrange the hands on the clock. With the clock out of the way, James is now able to explore the rest of the apartments. Being able to reach the north stairs, James gains access to the third story of the building. Here, he'll see something that perhaps is best if he had never seen, something not meant for human eyes. It appears as if the agreed upon theory of what this scene is meant to represent, of Pyramid Head assaulting two of the mannequin creatures, is that it's a stand-in for James's personal sexual frustration with the declining health of his wife. Once Pyramid Head leaves the room, James finds the courtyard key, which he'll need to get the first of the 3 coins to solve the next puzzle. Let's switch gears momentarily and talk about the game mechanically. Silent Hill is actually a pretty straightforward and easy game, at least once you get over the yuck factor of the environment and monsters. A curious note that we're going to revisit at the end of the video is that the game gives you way more ammo and health than you need to beat the game. Once you realize that there is absolutely no need to hoard either ammo or health items, it becomes very easy to take down almost every monster in the game. But I think this is an interesting point about the style of horror in Silent Hill. In Resident Evil or in a horror game with a monster or zombies, getting more ammo improves your chances of escaping whatever is the source of horror. In Silent Hill, because the horror is not derived from the monsters, but rather the backstory of the characters and the environment itself, no amount of ammunition will help. So for example, no matter how many shotgun shells James has, he can't take back the events in his past that drove him to Silent Hill. No amount of rifle bullets will give him the answer of what happened to Mary and how she was able to write the letter to him. Something else that drives this point home is that Pyramid Head is invulnerable to bullets. In the encounter we just had with him, James emptied his clip into Pyramid Head and it did nothing. Pyramid Head just decided to leave. Contrast that with Mr. X or the Tyrant series of monsters in Resident Evil, where if you have a gun big enough or enough bullets, they can be destroyed. Quick note, I'm not trying to hate on Resident Evil. I have played every single mainline Resident Evil game and enjoyed it. I think Resi 6 is the only one I haven't beaten. So I'm not trying to hate, but Silent Hill and Resident Evil just are 2 different interpretations of horror. Using the courtyard key, James exits to the courtyard pool area, where there's 3 lying figures in a pool surrounding a single stroller, where James will find the next coin that he needs, the snake coin. I don't think there's any greater significance to the stroller. I just think it's one of those cases of something innocent in a horror game makes things creepier. Kinda how like you'll often see wheelchairs as well in Silent Hill and horror games. Though I suppose you could make the argument that strollers and wheelchairs tend to remind people about hospitals, and that could be a link to the time that James and Mary spent at a hospital. Entering the next building over, we are going to be introduced to the 3rd victim of Silent Hill, Eddie, for reasons that I'll explain throughout the video as we learn about Eddie's story. Eddie is the one character that I hope gets fleshed out and becomes more sympathetic with the upcoming release of the Silent Hill 2 remake. Just as a chronological note, I'm recording this roughly in the month before Silent Hill 2 remake comes out. I think seeing how Eddie is portrayed in Silent Hill 2 is a good representation of how the emotional well-being of men and boys hasn't always been given the importance it deserves, of how men's mental health hasn't always been taken seriously or may have been disregarded, with historically men being ridiculed for being emotional, sensitive, crying, or asking for help. All of which is perfectly okay, and is a normal part of being a 3-dimensional human being. Although to be fair, historically, nobody's mental health has been held in great regard. It's not like the past was any kinder on women, children, or any other group of people. But I just wanted to take a moment to say that since Silent Hill 2 originally came out, there's been a greater awareness that mental health is important, including that of men. Anyway, let's get back to meeting Eddie. As James walks through the door, he hears the sound of anybody that has eaten old Mexican food, drank too much, or simply gotten sick, has made with her head in a toilet bowl. Inspecting the room, James finds blood and a corpse from someone that appears to have died violently. Going into the bathroom, we meet Eddie.
It wasn't me. I didn't do it.
Do what?
I didn't do anything. I swear. He was like this when I got here.
My name's James. James Sunderland.
Eddie.
Eddie. Who's that dead guy in the kitchen?
I didn't do it. I swear I didn't kill anybody.
You're not friends with that red pyramid thing, are you?
Red pyramid thing? I don't know what you're talking about. Honest. But I did see some weird looking monsters. They scared the hell out of me, so I ran in here.
Well, I guess this place isn't too safe either. What happened here anyway?
I told you, I don't know. I'm not even from this town. I just...
You too, huh? Something just brought you here, right?
Yeah, you could say that.
Well, whatever it is, I think you better get out of here soon.
Yeah, you're right. What about you?
I'll leave as soon as I'm done here. Eddie, be careful.
James, you be careful too.
The dialogue is awkward but functional. Immediately, it's established that Eddie is defensive about his probable acts of violence. The two characters introduce each other. We learn that Eddie cannot see Pyramid Head, although he can see other monsters. And the dialogue also establishes that Eddie is not from Silent Hill, but for some reason, like James and Angela, he was drawn here. In the room next over, James finds the walls decorated with images of sports and football. Along with the way Eddie is dressed, it seems to highlight themes of boyhood, relating either to masculinity or maybe innocence. Inspecting one of the trash chutes, James will find a package, lodged in there. Using the 6-pack of canned juice, he drops it into the trash chute, dislodging the package that was stuck in there. Going down to the garbage pickup point, he'll find the third coin that he needs to solve the next puzzle, the Old Man coin. Here, he'll also find a news article about a serial killer that was recently arrested, Walter Sullivan, who was arrested for the brutal murder of a brother and sister, and then he later committed suicide in his jail cell. The police had found that he had stabbed himself in the neck with a spoon. We can learn more about the story of Walter Sullivan in Silent Hill 4: The Room. The note also mentions that when arrested, Walter Sullivan said that someone's trying to kill him, trying to punish him, some monster. A red devil, possibly tormenting Walter Sullivan for his sins of murder. Foreshadowing, that is a theme that we will be exploring later on in this video as well. James unlocks a door at the end of the hallway using the fire escape key. Opening the door, he finds that there is no fire escape, but rather another building was built immediately next to this one, such that he can jump out of the door and into a window of the next building over. What odd architecture. I don't think the fire marshal would appreciate this. James climbs across. And here, we're gonna see one of Silent Hills 2's most iconic scenes, possibly? The dirty, backed-up toilet. Entering the bathroom, James is greeted by the very unpleasant sight of a filled-up, backed-up toilet. Up to the brim, filled with poo-poo caca. Without hesitation, and without even rolling up his jacket sleeve, James sticks his entire arm into the toilet and finds a wallet. How the wallet ended up there is a different question. In the wallet, he finds a safe combination. The safe this combination opens will be found not far from where the toilet was. Using the combination, James is able to open the safe to reveal what was hidden inside. Inside the safe, James would find a bunch of handgun bullets. And like we mentioned previously, Silent Hill 2 will give you plenty of health and tons of ammo, more than you're gonna need throughout the entire adventure. Which means James stuck his entire arm in a dirty toilet for nothing. There's no critical items in there that he would need to continue progressing on his journey to find Mary. So the lesson here is, don't stick your arm into dirty toilets for no reason.
Continuing his exploration of the apartment building, James would be surprised when he finds out that him and Eddie weren't the only ones there.
Oh, it's you.
Yeah, I'm James.
Angela.
Angela, okay. I don't know what you're planning, but there's always another way.
Really? But you're the same as me. It's easier just to run. Besides, is what we deserve.
No, I'm not like you.
Are you afraid? I'm sorry.
It's okay. Did you find your mother?
Not yet. She's not anywhere.
Did she live in this apartment building?
I don't know.
So, all you know is she lived in this town.
What did you say? How do you know that?
Well, I just figured, Because this is where you're looking for her. How else would I know?
Yeah.
Am I right?
I'm so tired.
So, why did you come to this town anyway?
I'm sorry. Did you find the person you're looking for?
Not yet. Her name's Mary. She's my wife.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Anyway, she's dead. I don't know why I think she's here.
She's dead?
Don't worry. I'm not crazy. At least, I don't think so.
I've got to find my mama.
Should I go with you? This town's dangerous. Now I know what you meant back there in the cemetery.
I'll be okay by myself. Besides, I'd just slow you down.
What about that?
Will you hold it for me?
Sure. No problem.
If I kept it, I'm not sure what I might do. Oh, I'm sorry. I've been bad. Please, don't.
So in this scene, James walks into the room to find a lethargic, almost disconnected Angela lying on the floor. Her answers seem tired and lethargic. As James sees the knife, his first instinct is to provide support and try to give some comfort to Angela. Angela replies saying that they are the same, revealing a lot more about the plot and later events than a casual observer would notice. Angela also uses the phrase that we deserve this. To me, it seems like she's rationalizing what's happened to her, as if it's easier for her to believe that whatever befell her was for a reason, as opposed to believing that her suffering is for no reason at all. Something else we can notice about Angela is that she's very volatile. She comes off as a person who's currently processing a lot of emotion. She slides from lethargic to distant to empathetic to unnecessarily defensive, all in the span of a few moments. The game lets us know that Angela is under duress and that she's going through something. Another interesting note about this scene is that at different times, Angela and James will try to comfort the other, only for that comfort to be rejected. I just think this kind of highlights how it's not always easy to accept help. In a different apartment, though not far from where James met Angela, James would find an odd desk with 5 indentations and a riddle on the plaque. 3 bright coins in 5 holes be. At one end sits the seducer of she. The wind from behind the woman doth play. The formless one, null, lies furthest from they. The old one, besides the serpent, sits not. 'Tis to the prisoner's left that he doth rot.
Following the instructions from the poem or the riddle, James takes the 3 coins and arranges them according to the passage he just read. Placing the lady's coin in the middle, the old man next to her, and the snake in the furthest possible slot from the other 2. Unlocking the desk, James collects the Lynn house key, which will give him access to room 202, which he had previously run into but found the door locked. At the Lynn house, James would find another key. Here, he would find the apartment stairway key. Little did James know what this key would unlock for him. Entering a flooded room and the door locking behind him leaves him no option but to have this confrontation with Pyramid Head after he encountered Pyramid Head assaulting another one of the mannequin creatures. James empties the pistol's clip into Pyramid Head, but it has no effect other than slowing him down, as James tries desperately to dodge getting hit with Pyramid Head's massive knife that he drags on the ground when he walks. Although Pyramid Head's weapon is called a great knife, it was too big to be called a knife or a sword. The blade is massive, thick, heavy, and far too rough. It was more like a slab of iron. James continues to dodge Pyramid Head's powerful yet slow attacks, all the while putting more bullets into him that just slow him down but doesn't seem to stop him. This back and forth continues until an air raid siren starts blasting out of nowhere, and Pyramid Head seems to lose all interest in James. The Red Devil then makes his way to the stairs that lead to the lower portion of this area, which is flooded. James watches as Pyramid Head descends into the water and the darkness and vanishes out of sight, unceremoniously, leaving James to wonder what was the purpose of this. With Pyramid Head gone, the water that flooded the lower area of this room recedes, opening a path for James to continue on his journey. James exits out the door, and with that, he has completed the first of the 4 locations he'll have to visit on his quest to find out what is really going on and what happened to Mary. Stepping outside, he sees that there's nowhere that the water could have drained to. Nothing around it seems wet or flooded. Pushing those thoughts out of his mind, James continues his journey to their special place, where he hoped to find some clues about how his wife Mary wrote him a letter asking him to come to Silent Hill. It's not long before James notices a child in the fog.
You! It was you, wasn't it? You're the one who stepped on my hand.
I don't know. Maybe I did.
What's a little girl like you doing here anyway?
Huh? Are you blind or something?
What's that letter?
None of your business. You didn't love Mary anyway.
Wait! How do you know Mary's name?
The cutscene tells us 2 things. 1, the child, Laura, somehow knows Mary. And 2, she's holding a letter that James seems interested in. But we'll be learning more about that later. James continues pushing his way through the fog, making his way to the park, their special place, hoping to find some clues to illuminate the darkness that he's in. Could Mary really be here at Rosewater Park? She passed from that horrible disease 3 years ago. Wait, was it 3 years? James continues making his way through the quiet and still park. He couldn't help but think about better days when the sun was shining and the park was filled with the sounds of people enjoying themselves. It's not long before he notices another figure in the fog. He approaches.
No, you're not.
Do I look like your girlfriend?
No, my late wife. I can't believe it. You could be her twin. Your face, your voice, just your hair and clothes are different.
My name is Maria. I don't look like a ghost, do I? See? Feel how warm I am?
You're really not Mary.
I told you, I'm Maria.
Sorry. I was confused.
Where are you going?
I'm looking for Mary. Have you seen her?
Didn't you say she died?
Oh yeah, 3 years ago. But I got a letter from her. She says she was waiting in our special place.
And that's here? Anyway, I haven't seen her. Is this your only special place?
Well, there's the hotel, too, I guess. The one on the lake? I wonder if it's still there.
The Lakeview Hotel? Yeah, it's still there. So, the hotel was your special place, huh? I'll bet it was. Don't get so mad. I was just joking. Anyway, it's not that way. It's this way.
You're coming with me?
You were gonna just leave me?
No, but...
With all these monsters around?
No, I just...
I'm all alone here. Everyone else is gone. I look like Mary, don't I? You loved her, right? Or maybe you hated her.
Don't be ridiculous.
So it's okay?
Yeah, fine.
The dialogue is again awkward here, but you can very quickly see how the dialogue is delivering key pieces of information. Maria is a more flirtatious version of Mary. She doesn't look like a ghost. She very quickly engages James physically, and he shies away from contact with her. And then the rest of the dialogue is presenting the next objective to the player. Now that you made it to Rosewater Park, their special place, James is asked, was there another special place? And after that, we know that our next objective is to make it to the hotel across the lake. The hotel where James and Mary seem to have so many fond and warm memories at. Up the street, Maria and James arrive at a bowling alley. Maria says that she's going to wait outside as James heads in. Exploring this location, James will overhear the voices of Eddie and Laura.
So what'd you do? Robbery? Murder?
Nah, nothing like that.
Huh! You're just a gutless fatso.
What'd you have to say that for?
I thought you said the cops were after you.
No, I just ran because I was scared. I don't know what the cops are doing.
But if you did something bad, why don't you just say you were sorry? Well, I guess I run away a lot too.
It's no good. They wouldn't listen. Nobody will ever forgive me. Did you find the lady you're looking for? What's her name? Mary?
James overhears Laura making fun of Eddie's physique. And we learn that Eddie is likely running away from the police, and that Laura's main purpose is to also find Mary.
Eddie?
Oh, you're...
James. We met in the apartment building?
Yeah, I remember, but...
Are you alone here, Eddie?
No.
Bye-bye.
Wait! Come back! Eddie, let's go after her.
Huh? Laura? But why?
Laura. Is that her name?
That's what she said.
This town is full of monsters. How can you sit there and eat pizza?
She said she was fine by herself. She said a fatso like me would just slow her down.
Forget you.
This piece of dialogue reinforces the theme of Eddie being made fun of by the people around him. A treatment that I kind of feel Eddie deserves more sympathy for, in spite of his implied violence. Laura runs out the front door of the bowling alley, giving James a secondary objective. Find out what Laura knows, and why was she also trying to find Mary?
Did a little girl run out of here?
Yeah, she was too fast for me. Aren't you gonna go after her?
James and Maria run off into the fog, trying to follow in Laura's footsteps.
Through there.
After traveling a short distance in the fog, James and Maria are led to the front entrance of Brookhaven Hospital, the second of the 4 locations James will have to make his way through on his journey to the truth.
Over there!
James and Maria enter a broken down abandoned hospital with the wallpaper peeling off of the walls and the floor covered in mold. Not particularly sanitary conditions. In one of the offices on the first floor, James finds a doctor's note describing a patient's condition. The potential for this illness exists in all people and, under the right circumstances, any man or woman would be driven like him to the other side. The other side perhaps may not be the best way to phrase it. After all, there is no wall between here and there. It lies on the border where reality and unreality intersect. It is a place both close and distant. Some say it isn't even an illness. I cannot agree with them. I'm a doctor, not a philosopher or even a psychiatrist. But sometimes I have to ask myself this question. It's true that, to us, his imaginings are nothing but the inventions of a busy mind. But to him, there is simply no other reality. Furthermore, he is happy there. So why, I ask myself, why in the name of healing him must we drag him, painfully, into the world of our own reality? Something else is written by hand. I got the key from Joseph. It's probably the key to that box. You know, it kind of sounds like Joseph has something figured out. Living in a reality of his own creation. I could only be so lucky. But hey, at least I'm here and I get to make YouTube videos for you guys and gals. But anyway, continuing on with the game, it's at Brookhaven Hospital where James will encounter the nurse monsters. They are dressed in nurse outfits that, while may appear enticing, also look incredibly uncomfortable to wear. Their faces are bandaged up and covered, seemingly disfigured, monstrous, or at the very least, hidden. Continuing to search the hospital, looking for Joseph's room and box, James finds the examination room key. In another room in the hospital, James will find a cute little teddy bear, but feels a nasty pinch when he goes to pick it up.
Ow!
What's wrong?
I just pricked myself.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Here, James will get the bent needle item, which is one of 2 parts of probably what's one of the silliest puzzle solutions I've seen in a survival horror game. Also, James finds a boomstick in this room. Now that we have the needle, all we have to do is find a big fistful of hair. James finds a typewriter and notices that he can read the carbon copy. Because of analytics, I know you are statistically just a little bit younger than me, maybe by 10 years. So 1, this reminds me of how old this game is, and consequently how I'm not exactly in the spring of my youth either. And 2nd, for anybody that just hasn't seen one of these before, this is how people made multiple copies of the same document. The typewriter would write on the sheet, behind which was the carbon copy sheet, which would then create a copy of the document, so you can keep one and then give someone else another one. So it's a carbon copy, like the email thing. So anyway, James finds a typewriter has a note and a code on it that's going to be useful later. Also on the wall, he gets the code to the 3rd floor patient wing. James and Maria make their way up there and use one of the 2 codes they just collected. Maria and James are able to enter the 3rd floor patient wing, and before long, they find a room where Maria takes a moment to sit down.
James. Wait a minute. I'm kind of tired. It's just a hangover.
You should rest.
So comfy.
I'm gonna go look for her. For Laura. I'll be back as soon as I can.
James notices a lapis lazuli key that he takes with him before leaving the room. Also, the one thing I want to point out in the scene that just played out with Maria is her appearing to be sick, though she passes it off as if she's hungover. Maria falling ill mirrors what happened to Mary, inviting a comparison between the two and begging the question that will the past repeat itself? Will the cycle continue, or can a cycle be broken and a person heals and move on through personal growth?
James, I want to ask you something. What if you can't find Mary? What will you do?
I haven't thought about that.
James takes his leave and lets Maria stay and rest. He continues exploring the third-floor patient wing, fighting off more nurses and mannequin monsters, eventually arriving at Joseph's room. There, he finds a box with 4 locks on it, one of which was one of the 2 codes he found earlier. Another, he's able to open using the lapis lazuli key that he found in the room where Maria is resting. But he still has to find one more 4-digit combination. James continues to explore the hospital, eventually finding a stairwell that will take him to the roof. Fortunately, he does have the roof key on hand. On the roof, James finds a diary. It must be from one of the patients. It reads, May 9th, rain, stared out the window all day. Peaceful here, nothing to do. Still not allowed to go outside. May 10th, still raining. Talk with the doctors a little. Would they have saved me if I didn't have a family to feed? I know I'm pathetic, weak. Not everybody can be strong. May 11th, rain again. The meds are making me feel sick today. If I'm only better when I'm drugged, then who am I anyway? May 12th, rain as usual. I don't want to cause any more trouble for anyone, but I'm a bother either way. Can it really be such a sin to run instead of fight? Some people may say so, but they don't have to live in my shoes. It may be selfish, but it's what I want. It's too hard like this. It's just too hard. May 13th. It's clear outside. The doctors told me I've been released, that I've got to go home. And then the writing trails off. For some reason, I've been finding this diary very interesting. So let's go over it real quick. Does it forward the plot? Well, not really. It doesn't talk about James, Pyramid Head, Mary, or Maria. So it makes me think this diary is here to reinforce the themes of the game, not the narrative or events of the game. When you look at it this way, this diary is almost like a crash course of the effects of trauma and stress on a person. On the first entry, we find out that the patient wonders if he would have been saved if he didn't have a family to feed, which I think could be said represents expectations being placed on people. And then the patient makes some self-deprecating comments about being weak and not being strong. The patient wonders about who they really are if they have to be drugged all the time. This entry reminds me of when I used to struggle with alcohol. The following entry talks about not wanting to create trouble. What makes you wonder if the patient felt like they didn't deserve anything good or any love. The patient also talks about fantasizing about running away and that things just feel too hard. I think we can all relate to thinking that sometimes. So this diary doesn't really tell us a narrative or a story, but it describes how somebody felt. There's no real conclusion. You don't need to read this to continue the game. So the question is, why place it here? I think because it deepens and continues the exploration of the idea of the demons that we feel like are inside of us. Trauma, pain, suffering, solitude, fatigue, hopelessness. So I guess revisiting this game for this video, I do have to give Silent Hill props for presenting
and attempting to normalize a lot of intrusive thoughts that we all have when we're feeling weak and tired. Almost as if letting us know that we're not the only ones that feel that way, that we all do, and it's normal. It's okay to feel tired, to wonder about who you are, to wonder about your value in society, and that sometimes it's just hard. You know, we all feel tired sometimes. I just finished a week of work. While I'm very fortunate, sometimes you feel like you have to muster up enthusiasm and strength from somewhere you didn't even know you had any left. And then Pyramid Head knocks James off the roof. Kapow! You see, falling is all well and good. The problem is hitting the ground. James is lucky he didn't break anything, but he is hurting from that fall. He stands up and looks around and notices that he's in a padded room. In one of the padded rooms, James notices a message and a code written in blood on the soft walls of this room. Making note of the code, he returns to Joseph's room, where the box is. What wonderful little surprise could that little box hold for us? 3 down, 1 to go. James digs through his inventory to find a purple bull key, which he uses to open the last lock on the box. Inside of it, he finds a strand of hair, which will go great when paired with a bent needle. With great excitement, James runs down the hall, holding his bent needle and his strand of hair, which was kept safe in a box with 4 different locks. James approaches the drain hole in the shower room with the green glowing fluid. He attaches the bent needle to the strand of hair and lowers it down the drain, not paying attention to the fact that he's putting his knee on the green goo. Up and down, he manages to fish something out of the drain. James collects the elevator key. Using the elevator key to unlock his way, James is able to make it to the first floor patient wing, which had previously been locked off to him. Entering one of the patient rooms in this wing, James notices some odd teddy bears. He approaches to investigate. He finds Laura hidden among the beds. She's playing with the teddy bears without a care in the world.
Laura?
Huh? You know my name?
Eddie told me.
That big fat blabbermouth.
How do you know about Mary?
What's the big deal?
Why can't you just tell me?
You gonna yell at me if I don't?
No, I won't.
I was friends with Mary. We met at the hospital. It was last year.
You liar! Laura,
Fine, don't believe me.
But last year, Mary was already... I'm sorry, Laura. Anyway, let's go. We can talk about this later. This is no place for a kid. There are all sorts of strange things around here. I can't believe you haven't even gotten a scratch on you.
Why should I? Wait! There's something I gotta get.
Later, okay?
But it's really important.
What is it?
A letter from Mary.
Huh?
I wanna go get it. Is that okay?
Yes! Yes!
Come on, hurry up.
Is it in there?
Before moving on, a couple points about that conversation that just ended. 1. We can see that James is very understanding at first, but as soon as Laura says something he didn't like, his mood instantly switched. That kind of shows how easily he can change from being nice and understanding to being meaner, and that's going to come up later. 2. We get the big bombshell. Laura says that she knew Mary from the hospital from 1 year ago. James has been telling people that Mary died 3 years ago. And lastly, Laura emphasizes again how important that letter from Mary is, making us wonder what's in it. So back to the game. Laura tricks James into going into this odd room in the hospital.
In the back.
What are you doing, Laura?
It's further back, in the desk.
Laura! What are you doing?
Ha ha, I tricked you.
Open the door, Laura.
Why should I? I'm a liar, right? Want me to open it? Huh? Huh? Do ya? What's the magic word?
Laura?
Okay, I guess I won't open it. I think I'll just leave you like this.
You snotty little brat! Open up!
Why, you...
Laura?
You hurt me!
Two flesh-lipped monsters drop from the ceiling as James is realizing that Laura is not going to open that door. The flesh-lip encounter is the hospital equivalent of a boss fight. The player might be thrown off because of the suddenness of the boss fight. There's not much warning leading up to it. And the major challenge of the fight is the fact that it's a small room and the tank controls can be awkward. So James will have to rely on the strategy of running back and forth across the room, firing a few times, and then running away. A pattern that will repeat with pretty much every boss fight. The fleshlips can damage James if they catch up to him. They'll grab his neck with their little footsies and try to strangle him. In terms of what they represent, the flesh lips do appear to be a body suspended in a wireframe cage that can resemble a hospital bed. So according to the wiki and the fan favorite theories, the flesh lips represent Mary in her terminal state, and the emphasis on the mouth or lip is due to the times where she lashed out at him. After defeating the third flesh lip, James hears the air raid siren again.
James.
When James comes to, he's standing outside in a small, boxed-in courtyard. Re-entering the hospital, he sees how it's been corrupted and transformed into the nightmare version. Exploring the nightmare hospital, on top of an image of reaching hands, James finds a battery and a key. James returns to the room where he had left Maria, only to find her gone. On the bedside table are empty pill bottles. Was Maria sick now too? Afterwards, James uses the basement storeroom key and goes down a level, finding a shelf with bloody handprints, which he pushes aside.
James!
Mary? Oh, Maria. It's you. I thought you were... Sorry. Anyway, I'm glad you're alive.
Anyway! What do you me anyway? You don't sound very happy to see me. I was almost killed back there. Why didn't you try to save me? All you care about is that dead wife of yours. I've never been so scared in my whole life. You couldn't care less about me, could you?
No, I
Then
just...
stay with me. Don't ever leave me alone. You're supposed to take care of me. So, what about Laura? Did you find her?
Yeah, but she ran away.
We've got to find her.
You really seem to care about her. Do you know her?
I've never met her before. I just feel sorry for her. She's all alone. And for some reason, I feel like it's up to me to protect her.
So in this conversation, we see the line between Mary and Maria blur more and more as it becomes harder to see who was speaking, Maria or Mary. In the little room below, James finds the copper ring. Now that there's two of them, James heads to the refrigerator, since they might be able to get it open if they work together.
You can't open it?
Yeah, Maria, give me a hand here.
Come on. You're supposed to be the big man around here. How's a little girl like me supposed to help? What's this? Not very cute, is it? Here, James. You take it.
Thanks.
James collects the lead ring. Now that he has both rings, he returns to the woman painting puzzle and puts both of the rings on the outstretched hands. Unlocking the door will lead James and Maria to the stairwell. Here, James will find a letter talking about the director's key, which is hidden behind the praying woman. Must be the one at Rosewater Park, where we first met Maria. James and Maria continue progressing into the Nightmare Hospital, coming out to a series of corridors where you can only head forward. Before long, James hears a heavy breathing and the shuffling of something large. When the elevator reaches the bottom, James is still numb and in shock. Once again, he had to watch somebody die and be unable to do anything about it. After a moment, he slowly picks himself up. Reaching the first floor, he explores the offices and finds a note and a key. It says, "He who is not bold enough to be stared at from across the abyss is not bold enough to stare into it himself. The truth can only be learned by marching forward. Follow the map. There is a letter and a wrench." James takes note of the location on the map. With his new destination and the hospital lobby key in hand, James prepares to leave this cursed hospital when he sees Laura walking by the window. James then leaves Brookhaven Hospital. There's nothing more for him here. Leaving the hospital, James reflects on how helpless he's been feeling this entire time, unable to help Maria and unable to find Laura. James is going to find Mary, since it's the only thing that he has hope for still. James steps off into the darkness. It appears night has set while he was in the hospital. Where there was once fog, now there's only darkness. James navigates the city at night. Before arriving at the marked destination on his map, he stops by another building. On one wall, he finds written, "There was a hole here. It's gone now." On another, he finds something more disturbing. "If you really want to see Mary, you should just die. But you might be heading to a different place than Mary, James." James continues through the darkened town, eventually arriving at the location on the map. Here he picks up a wrench and a note. The note reads, "Or perhaps you are a fool. The truth usually betrays people. A part of that abyss is in the old society. The key to the society is in the park, at the foot of the praying woman, inside the ground, inside of a box. To open it, I need a wrench. My patient buried it there. I knew but did nothing. It made me uneasy to have such a thing near. I wasn't looking for the truth, I was looking for tranquility. I also saw that thing. I fled, but the museum was sealed as well. Now, no one dares approach that place. If you still do not wish to stop, James, I pray to the Lord to have mercy on your eternal soul." Wait, was this letter meant for James? Was somebody warning him about approaching the Historical Society? It sounded like whoever wrote this letter knew about Pyramid Head. In spite of the two warnings he had just received, the letter and the message written on the wall, James pressed on his quest to find out the truth about Mary. James needed to make his way to Rosewater Park in order to get the key to the Historical Society. Somehow, he'd find a path forward there. James digs behind the statue of the praying woman and finds a locked metal box. Using the wrench to open it, James finds the old bronze key inside. With it, he sets off to the Historical Society. Here, James would get a few clues about the origin of the red pyramid thing that's been hunting him and tormenting him the entire time he's been in Silent Hill. An old painting shows the image of a town executioner in the middle of his work. He's been very busy. It's him. It's what's been chasing him this entire time. At times in its past, the town of Silent Hill was known for its religious fervor, Toluca prison, and the town's iconic executioners. Though in modern times, Silent Hill was no more for being a tourist destination. James continues to examine the history of this old building and finds a wall with a person-sized hole in it. It leads to a long, straight, descending stairwell. James starts climbing down the stairs and keeps going and going. He can't believe how long this tunnel is. I mean, how is this even practical? Who would have built this? How far is he going underneath Toluca Lake? The Historical Society sat right on the coast of this large body of water. What secrets of Silent Hill's past could be hidden down here? James starts to wonder if he's losing his grasp on reality, or is physics just breaking around him? How long could this tunnel go? Right when he thinks he's starting to lose his mind, he sees a door down on the dark end of the hallway.
James could tell he was underneath Toluca Lake just because of how humid everything was down here. And he could tell how long it's been since this had all been abandoned by how decayed everything looked. This wasn't the Historical Society, this was something else, something older. Could this have been a secret part of Toluca Prison? Down here, James finds a room with a series of paintings. One of them was titled The Crimson and White Banquet of the Gods. Another was a vintage photo titled Death by Skewering, an execution at the prison, death by skewering or strangling. To choose his death is the prisoner's last taste of freedom. And the last painting was of Toluca prison camp during the Civil War. This place had a long and bloody history. In another room, James finds a deep and dark hole that he can't see the bottom of. He decides to press on and jumps into the deep, dark hole. James wakes up in what seems to be the bottom of a well, with no obvious way out. Inspecting the wall, he finds a weak spot and hits it repeatedly until it breaks down and shows a door, providing him a way out. Stepping out offers no relief, as James will encounter more monsters and have to wade through flooded hallways, navigating the underground prison. Continuing to explore the underground prison, James eventually reaches a locked door on a hallway traveling up and down. James couldn't tell if it was physics or his mind that's breaking here, but given everything that's been happening, I'm placing my bets on James's mind. He unlocks the bar door and once again plunges into the unknown, going deeper and deeper into the earth underneath the lake. James sits up and realizes he's not alone in this darkness.
Killing a person ain't no big deal. Just put the gun to their head. Pow.
You killed him?
But it wasn't my fault. He made me do it.
Calm down, Eddie. Tell me what happened.
That guy, he had it coming. I didn't do anything. He just came after me. Besides, he was making fun of me with his eyes, like that other one.
Just for that, you killed him?
What do you mean, just for that?
Eddie, you can't just kill someone because of the way they looked at you.
Oh yeah? Why not? Till now I always let people walk all over me. Just like that stupid dog. He had it coming too.
Eddie?
I was just joking, James. He was dead when I got here, honest. Anyway, I gotta run.
You're going out there alone?
Yeah.
Eddie?
It appears James isn't the only one losing his grip. Eddie seems on edge, and is now lashing out violently at imagined insults to him. I'm sure he's suffered a lot. He is dealing with it in the worst way possible. James finds the first of 3 Aztec tablets that he's going to need to solve the next puzzle. James sees Eddie's victim filled with bullet holes and pushes on into the darkness. In the prison shower room, he'd find the second of the 3 tablets that he needs. The Seductress tablet. Exploring the damp jail, James would find an assortment of other items, including a lighter, a small wax figurine, and a magazine that would shed some light on this lake's grim past. Toluca Lake, the town's main tourist attraction. This clear, beautiful lake has another side as well.
It may seem like just a typical ghost story that you might find in any number of old towns across the country, but in this case, the legend is true. On a fog-bound November day in 1918, the Little Baroness, a ship filled with tourists, failed to return to port. A newspaper article from back then simply says it most likely sunk for some reason. Despite an extensive police search, not a single fragment of the ship, nor any of the 14 passengers or crew has ever been recovered to this day. In 1939, an even stranger incident occurred. There are many pages torn out. Many corpses rest at the bottom of this lake. Their bony hands reach up towards the boat that passed overhead. Perhaps they reach out for their comrades. Exploring the rest of the room, James finds the powerful hunting rifle. In one of the prison cells, James finds evidence and hints to the cults that have long operated in the area of Silent Hill. In another cell, James finds an odd collection of drawings, one of which seems oddly prescient. The first is of 436 people at a recital. Another is of a hotel on fire that has a dock leading up to it. Could that be the hotel that Mary and James used to go to? And the last one is of a woman in flight. James makes his way past the different hidden monsters in the jail cells until arriving one that opened up and revealed the last of the 3 tablets, the tablet of the oppressor. With the 3 tablets in hand, James makes it to the hanging station, where he finds engravings of the old town executioners hanging somebody. James inserts the 3 tablets and then hears somebody scream from nearby. On his way out, he notices a horseshoe on the door. The horseshoe, along with the wax doll and the lighter, would allow James to make a makeshift handle so he can lift up the door and continue his descent further down, jumping once again into the darkness of the unknown. James stands up, looks around, and realizes that he's in a morgue, as evidenced by the pile of bodies everywhere. Continuing on, he notices yet another hole plunging into the darkness. Could this have been a way the executioners got rid of bodies in a quick way? After recovering from the fall, James notices that the only thing in front of him is yet another hole in the ground for him to jump through. Continuing forth, James notices that the environment's changed again. Instead of moist concrete in an industrial style, these labyrinthian halls look more domestic, more residential. How's that possible this far underground? Where is he? What's he thinking? Can he even think straight anymore? His brain is bending so much that he's afraid that it's snapped in half. Down here, he finds one of the only things that humanizes Pyramid Head. What appears to be his resting ground, somewhere where he maybe slept, took a moment, or simply kept his stuff. James is able to find the great knife here and escape before Pyramid Head finds him. In this labyrinth, James will find a puzzle. He'd find this rotating pedestal with a 6-faced stone that would rotate the room behind James when he turned it. Through pure luck or brute force, he would keep rotating the stone until he found the positioning that led him through. He'd find a surprise on the other side of this puzzle.
You're alive! Maria, I thought that thing killed you. Are you hurt bad?
Not at all, silly.
Maria? That thing, it stabbed you. There was blood everywhere.
Stabbed me? What do you mean?
It chased us to the elevator, and then
James, what are you talking about?
just before, don't you remember?
James, honey, did something happen to you? After we got separated in that long hallway? Are you confusing me with someone else? You were always so forgetful. Remember that time in the hotel?
Maria?
You said you took everything, but you forgot that videotape we made. I wonder if it's still there.
How do you know about that? Aren't you Maria?
I'm not your Mary.
So, you're Maria?
I am. If you want me to be.
All I want from you is an answer.
It doesn't matter who I am. I'm here for you, James. See? I'm real. Don't you want to touch me?
I don't know.
Come and get me. I can't do anything through these bars.
Okay. Stay right there. I'll be there soon.
Here, Maria would give him the objective that would ultimately lead James to the truth. The tape at the hotel, the one that he forgot behind. He was always so forgetful. That's where he needed to go. He needed to go to the hotel and find out what was on that VHS tape. Maria, again blurring the lines with Mary. How could she have known about it? When she tried to play coy and flirt with James, was she acting as Mary or as Maria? Or did it even matter? Regardless, James walks away. On his way out, he finds the wire cutters, which he uses to continue progressing into the labyrinth. Having cut the wires that were blocking the door, James is free to continue going deeper into the labyrinth, fighting his way past monsters in the flooded hallways. At this point, I should throw out a content warning. Coming up, we will be learning more about one character's backstory in detail, which does involve assault. Behind an unassuming door, James finds Angela cowering in a corner on the floor, being harassed by the daddy monster, known as the Abstract Daddy. A monster again with fleshy lips that has the appearance of someone pinning someone else down on a table. Returning to a familiar routine, James will run back and forth across the room, buying himself time to take pot shots at this monster as it slowly shambles back and forth. For the rest of this part, I will be a little bit vague since I don't want to provide too many details about what we all know this monster represents and what it means for Angela's backstory. It's a topic I don't feel fully qualified for. I'm not sure I can give it its due respect and gravitas. Learning the nature of this monster and also peering more into Angela's backstory, it makes sense why she's dressed the way that she is. If you take a close look, Angela is not showing any skin. Her sweater covers her arms and neck, and she wears long pants. To me, it's obvious why she's trying to appear as modest and unremarkable as she can. She's trying to avoid unwanted attention. James continues running back and forth, putting more bullets into this abomination, which is a physical manifestation of Angela's trauma. Even if he's able to put this monster down, it will do nothing to erase Angela's trauma. That is the nature of abuse.
the likes of which we know Eddie and Angela have been on the receiving end of. Even if you take them out of the environment, the scars with the person will remain. That is the truly insidious thing about bullying, assault, trauma, or belittling people, is that these type of scars dig deep in a way no one can see physically and can stay with a person long after the injury was inflicted.
Are you okay?
When the monster goes down, the first thing Angela does is unleash a little bit of her rage on this creature that has inflicted so much prolonged suffering on her and removed her ability to feel comfortable in her own body. After throwing the TV on the creature, she looks at it as if wondering if it will do anything.
Relax.
Don't order me around!
I'm not trying to order you.
So what do you want then? Oh, I see. You're trying to be nice to me, right? I know what you're up to. It's always the same. You're only after one thing.
No, that's not true at all.
You don't have to lie. Go ahead and say it. Or you could just force me. Beat me up like you always did. You only care about yourself anyway. You disgusting pig.
Angela.
Don't touch me! You make me sick. You said your wife Mary was dead, right?
Yes. She was ill.
Liar! I know about you. You didn't want her around anymore. You probably found someone else.
That's ridiculous. I never...
After this somber conversation, we learn a few things. We learn that Angela is highly suspicious of anybody. She doesn't want to let anybody close to her or touch her. She suspects that James wants something from her, the same thing that everybody else wanted. The things that her father and brother would beat her up for. She also drops a hint about James' culpability, suggesting that there was even a point when James didn't even want his wife around, that maybe James wanted to end things or look for somebody new. Regardless, James pressed on and continued making his way through a labyrinth, arriving at the hangman puzzle. In a room, he'll find 6 effigies of people that have been strung up, each with a note detailing their crime, or their alleged crime. The first one was hanged for kidnapping. The second one for counterfeiting. The next was hanged for the crime of murder. Justice and revenge had been served. The fourth for thievery. The fifth one for arson. And the last one had a sign saying that the man was hung for the crime of swindling. Just down the hall, James would find another room with a very similar setup. James reads a placard that's hung up on the chain link fence. It reads, dead men swinging in a tree. How many dead men do you see? Tongue turned blue and face gone gray. Watch them as they twist and sway. The first one killed the butcher man and then cooked him in a frying pan, served him to his hungry guest, and gave them seconds on request. The next one, with his smile and sweets, stole poor children off of the streets. To men who dress unsavory, he sold them into slavery. Breaking into a home at night, the thief he had a nasty fright, filled his foolish head with ale, woke in the morn in the county jail. The artist, with his daunting skill, tried his hand at painting bills, but caught in rain he was undone when the ink he'd use did start to run. With promises of great return, taking gold he did not earn, bundled it up out of sight, quietly slipped off into the night.
3 houses into ashes burned, the sheriff, with no place to turn, did spy a stranger to his town, locked him up, and beat him down. Dead men swinging in a tree. How many dead men do you see? 6 feet long and 6 men wide. Round their necks the noose be tied. So of the 6 hanging figures, it seems like the arsonist was innocent. James goes to the corresponding rope and pulls it down. He returns to the first room to see what has changed. In place of the arsonist, James finds the key of the persecuted, which will be useful before long once James finds a valve that's being kept in place by handcuffs that are locked to the bars on the other side. Descending the ladder back into the labyrinth, James finally makes it to the door where Maria was waiting for him.
Maria? Maria?
Maria, no. What happened to you? Why? Why?
For a second time, James would have to watch Maria perish. He finds her body laying on a bed that resembled the hospital bed where James used to go visit Mary when she was sick. Silent Hill is playing out one of James's most tragic moments over and over again, making him relive the experience of losing Mary. The same way that your brain will take you places you don't want to go over and over again, like a scab that won't heal because you won't stop picking at it. With the hollow feeling that comes with shock, James presses on. He's come this far, and the hotel is only just across the lake. He'd be there soon. Just a few more obstacles as he notices that the air is getting colder and colder in another hallway that just goes on and on. Everything starts looking red and is getting cold. Red is the color of rage, is it not? In a cold and musky room, James sees Eddie again, standing over a dead body, gun in hand. Eddie has fully given in to the rage inside of him. Rage born out of years of solitude and mockery.
Busted my balls. You fat, disgusting piece of shit. You make me sick. Fat ass, you're nothing but a waste of skin. You're so ugly, even your mama don't love you. Well, maybe he was right. Maybe I am nothing but a fat, disgusting piece of shit. But you know what? It doesn't matter if you're smart.
As off-putting as Eddie might be at a glance, I'm sure he didn't deserve to be called the things that he was, to be made to feel like he's unlovable. Does anybody really deserve to feel that way? Don't we all want to be accepted and feel cared for? Of course, none of that is to excuse his violence. But Silent Hill 2 is the story of people that have taken a hit. Though, on the other hand, you could say that everybody's taken a hit. Life fucks everybody on a long enough timeline, and we don't all have support systems or healthy ways of coping. I mean, who hasn't felt like they're on the verge of snapping or breaking sometimes? Though once Eddie starts accusing James of mocking him, you have to wonder if there's any coming back for Eddie. With a gunshot, Eddie announces that no, there is no coming back for him. He fully embraces violence now, giving in to the rage inside of him. What could have Eddie had become if he had been more loved? But regardless, James feels like he's left with no choice and raises his own weapon to return fire. While James might have at one point felt sympathy for this odd character that is Eddie, James is on his own mission to find Mary, and Eddie is in the way. Besides, James was pretty sure that Eddie was going to keep killing if no one stopped him.
Do you know what it does to you, James? When you're hated, picked on, spit on, just because of the way you look, after you've been laughed at your whole friggin' life. That's why I ran away after I killed the dog. Ran away like a scared little girl. Yeah, I killed that dog. It was fun. It tried to chew its own guts out. Finally died all curled up in a ball. Then he came after me. I shot him too, right in the leg. He cried more than the dog. He's gonna have a hard time playing football on what's left of that knee.
You think it's okay to kill people? You need help, Eddie.
The thing about abuse, mental or physical, mockery, torment, bullying, is that it's extremely illegal to attack or kill somebody, but it's perfectly legal to tear away at somebody a little bit every day in more subtle ways.
Don't get all holy on me, James. This town called you too. You and me are the same. We're not like other people. Don't you know that? Let's party!
Just like Angela did back in the apartments, Eddie says that him and James are the same type of person. Though, there's an added degree of foreshadowing when Eddie says it. James and Eddie trade bullets until Eddie goes down. He won't be hurting anybody anymore, and at least he wouldn't hurt as well.
Eddie? Eddie? I killed a human being. A human being. Mary. Did you really die 3 years ago?
James continues, leaving the refrigerated storage. He steps outside and realizes there's a nearby dock on Toluca Lake with a rowboat that he can use. It's better to be on the lake rather than underneath it, thinks James. Covered in fog, James gets into the rowboat. It's time to end his journey and continue to the final stop in this voyage. Could Mary really be waiting for James at the hotel, their special place? James rows the boat into the unknown of the fog. In the distance, James sees a light, a beacon, maybe even a sliver of hope. He aims the boat at it and keeps rowing. After a while, he's arrived at the hotel, and also the end of our story. James feels the heavy burden that he's carrying as he thinks about how he just killed somebody. He's taken a human life. Why was this feeling familiar to him? Could Mary really be waiting for him here? It's been 3 years since she passed. No, wait, 1 year. 3? It was growing harder to tell. James's thoughts, feelings, memories, and emotions were starting to feel as foggy as this town was. James finds a non-functional fountain on the way into the hotel. Here, he picks up a music box, the Little Mermaid music box, wishing that opening this door would take him back in time to a better time. He enters the hotel, Lakeview Hotel, their special place. He finds a map by the entrance. On the 3rd floor, in room 312, he finds a note that says, "Waiting for you." Mary, are you there? James starts looking for the stairs to make it to the third floor. Exploring the hotel, he's surprised to hear the piano.
Did I scare you?
Yeah, you did.
You're here to find Mary, aren't you, James? Well, have you?
No. Is that why you're here too?
She's here, isn't she? If you know where she is, tell me. I'm tired of walking.
I wish I knew.
But she said it in her letter.
What letter?
Wanna read it? But don't tell Rachel, okay?
Who's Rachel?
She was our nurse. I took it from her locker.
My dearest Laura, I'm leaving this letter with Rachel to give to you after I'm gone. I'm far away now, in a quiet, beautiful place. Please forgive me for not saying goodbye before I left. Be well, Laura. Don't be too hard on the sisters. And Laura, about James, I know you hate him because you think he isn't nice to me. But please, give him a chance. It's true, he might be a little bit surly sometimes, and he doesn't laugh much, but underneath, he's really a sweet person. Laura, I love you like my very own daughter. If things had worked out differently, I was hoping to adopt you. Happy 8th birthday, Laura. Your friend forever, Mary.
Laura, how old are you?
I turned 8 last week.
So, Mary couldn't have died 3 years ago. Could she really be here? Is this the quiet, beautiful place she was talking about?
Me and Mary talked a lot about Silent Hill. She even showed me all her pictures. She really wanted to come back. That's why I'm here. Maybe you'll get it if you see the other letter. The one, Mary. Huh? I must have dropped it.
Laura!
I gotta find it.
Laura!
The cracks in James's sanity are starting to show as he realizes that it hasn't been 3 years. Laura and the letter prove that James was wrong. Was he also making up that Mary died? Could she really be here? Soon he would have his answers. He continues to explore the hotel, the last of the 4 locations he'd be visiting. He's gonna have to contend with smaller abstract daddies. They are not too much of a threat to him. The real threat is the truth and the reality of why he was called to Silent Hill. Arriving at the front desk of the hotel, he'll find a note with his name on it. It says, Mr. James Sunderland, the videotape you forgot here is being kept in the office on the 1st floor. This must be the videotape that Maria mentioned back in the labyrinth. James takes a moment to reread the letter that Mary has sent him, the one that called him to Silent Hill, only to realize that the letter is now completely blank. James uses one of the keys that he's found during his exploration of the hotel to unlock this briefcase that he found. Inside the briefcase, he finds another key, a key to hotel room 204. He makes his way to this hotel room. In room 204, he would find the employee elevator key, which will unlock more parts of the hotel to him. He also finds a massive hole in the wall, and he's able to make it to the next room over. In the adjacent room, he finds pictures scattered all over the bed, with one of them showing the combination to a briefcase next to him, but it's been dashed out with a marker. He uses paint thinner to reveal what the code to the suitcase is, which he then opens.
Inside the suitcase, he finds the Cinderella music box. 2 down, 1 to go. James uses the employee elevator key to get access to more parts of the hotel, hoping to find a way to unlock the gate to the 3rd floor. Entering the elevator, he hears an alarm go off. Examining the note on the control panel, it says, "Weight allowance, 1 person," or exactly 1 person, I suppose. So he steps out and places the mountain of items that he's carrying on a shelf nearby. Free of the weight of that burden, he's able to step onto the elevator and use it. James descends to the employee area of the 1st floor. In the pantry, hidden among produce, he would find the Snow White music box, the 3rd of 3. James continues to explore and finds an open safe in the office. In the safe, he finds the videotape that him and Mary forgot here at the hotel all those years ago, and also a can opener, which, by video game logic, must have some use. Maybe this can opener is a magical can opener that will be able to heal James, his past, and his hurt, and reunite him with Mary. Or maybe it's just a regular can opener. I mean, they're useful. You never realize how useful a can opener is until you need one. Anyway, back to Lakeview Hotel. In this part, James is forced down a narrow corridor without any weapons, which is probably one of the greatest combat challenges in this game. But like I mentioned before, the combat isn't really the focus of the game. The horrors in this game are not things you can hit or shoot. Angela wouldn't find peace if she had more ammo. Eddie's hurt wouldn't have been erased if he had a rocket launcher. James finds the bar key in the boiler room. He keeps making his way down the only way that he can, all the while trying to dodge the mannequin creatures. James then makes it to a kitchen. A large, sealed can. What a crazy random happenstance. Fortunately, he does have a can opener, which the game let us know is a tool for opening cans. With great joy, anticipation, and excitement, James opens the can and finds it full of light bulbs. Now, dear viewer, I do have a legitimate question. Is that a thing? Were light bulbs ever sold in cans like that? Or is that something that they just made up for the game? I'm genuinely curious. Let me know in the comments. James picks up a light bulb and puts it in his coat pocket. On the other side of the kitchen, James finds his way to the bar, where he's unable to use the bar key because it's too dark and he can't see the keyhole. James cannot unlock a door by feel. He needs light. In a random stroke of luck, there is a flashlight directly behind him, pointing at the door. Someone else must have his same shortcoming, being unable to unlock a door without light. But the old gods of Toluca Lake must be smiling down on James, for he coincidentally does have a light bulb in his coat pocket. He screws it in and makes his way out of the bar, back to the hotel. James returns to the closet, where he recovers the mountain of weapons, ammo, and health items that he's been carrying. He makes his way back to the main hall, to the music box contraption, and one by one he places the 3 little music boxes in their corresponding spots. James collects the hotel stairway key, which will take him to the 3rd floor. At last, he would have his answers, their special place where Mary was waiting for him, in room 312 of Lakeview Hotel. James enters the room. It's time for the truth. James puts the VHS tape into the machine.
Are you taping again? Come on. I don't know why, but I just love it here. It's so peaceful. You know what I heard? This whole area used to be a sacred place. I think I can see why. It's too bad we have to leave. Please promise you'll take me again, James.
James is confronted with the truth of what happened and what he did. Mary was terminally ill, but James killed her. Maybe to spare her suffering, maybe to spare himself suffering. But he had to confront the truth of what he did. And it hadn't been 3 years. All this occurred much sooner than he wanted to believe. James was looking to be punished. He wanted to be tormented. He knew what he did was wrong. He had been weak. He gave in. Shit got too hard. Laura enters the room.
So there you are, James. Did you get the letter? Did you find Mary? If not, let's get going already, okay?
Laura. Mary's gone. She's dead.
Liar, that's a lie!
No, that's not true.
She died because she was sick?
No, I killed her.
You killer! Why'd you do it? I hate you! I want her back! Give her back to me! I knew it! You didn't care about her! I hate you, James! I hate you! I hate you! I hate you! She was always waiting for you. Why? Why?
I'm sorry. The Mary you know isn't here. Laura, I'm sorry.
What do you do after learning something like this about yourself, about what you've done? I don't know. James hears a message.
James, where are you? I'm waiting. I'm waiting for you. Please come to me. Do you hate me? Is that why you won't come? James,
That voice!
James, please hurry. Are you lost? I'm here. I'm waiting nearby, James. Please, I want to see you, James.
A lost man, shattered. James didn't know what to do, but he had to find out what was the source of that message. What was using Mary's voice to call to him? He steps out into the hotel, and now he can see the hotel for how it really looked. What remained of the hotel after the fire. The hallways are thick with ash, the doors and walls damaged with fire. The air is heavy and still. This was the beginning of the end. He's been running from the truth so much that James is just tired, and he's ready to see the end of this. James puts on some headphones he finds on the desk. He relives another memory.
Going to die? You must be joking.
I'm very sorry.
But you're a doctor. It's your job to heal people. How can you just let her die?
Please, calm down. As her doctor, I promise I'll do what I can. But there's still no effective treatment for her condition.
How long does she have?
I'm afraid I'm not sure. 3 years at most. Perhaps 6 months. It's impossible to say with certainty.
Is that how he got the idea of 3 years into his head? James's head started to hurt, as if things were falling apart and didn't make sense anymore. He wandered back and forth between the hallways, feeling like he was teleporting around. Or was he? Is reality twisted, or just his mind? He couldn't tell anymore. He wasn't sure it really mattered. Did it? James felt like the doors were disconnected from where they really were in the wall. The halls twisted among themselves, with the slow drip of water in the background to keep him company. How long has it been since the hotel burned down? James had no concept of time anymore. It was as twisted as space was in here. But he couldn't delay the inevitable forever.
looking for you. Now you're the only one left. Maybe then I can rest. Mama, why are you running away? You're not my mama. It's you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Angela, no.
Thank you for saving me. But I wish you hadn't. Even Mama said it. I deserved what happened.
No, Angela, that's wrong.
No, don't pity me. I'm not worth it. Or maybe you think you can save me. Will you love me? Take care of me? Heal all my pain? That's what I thought. James, give me back that knife.
No, I won't.
Saving it for yourself?
Me? No. I'd never kill myself. It's hot as hell in here.
You see it too? For me, it's always like this.
James watches Angela disappear into the flames as he notices the two stitched up bodies against the wall, Angela's father and her brother, that she had killed. For me, it's always like this. In the entirety of this game, that phrase haunts me. Where James saw monsters, representations of his suffering, his trauma, Angela saw flames. With every instance of James running into Angela, Angela saw flames. She was burning, but James couldn't pick up on it. He didn't notice it. It just makes you wonder, who in your everyday life is like that, hiding behind a smile? And likewise, when have you had to hide behind a smile? Sometimes it just feels like this world is too busy for sympathy. The environment changes. James is no longer in the hotel. The floor is a grating, and the walls look industrial, moldy, wet, and cold. The doors appear ancient looking and made of stone and metal, as if they've been here forever, or at least a very long time. With great trepidation and hesitation, James approaches the double doors, behind which he'd have to face the consequences of his actions.
Stop! Leave her alone! Leave us both the hell alone! Ah!
I was weak. That's why I needed you. Needed someone to punish me for my sins. But that's all over now. I know the truth. Now it's time to end this.
James finally learns the true meaning and function of Pyramid Head. Pyramid Head was constructed by whatever powers this town as a way to castigate and punish James, give him a way to do his penance for his sins. Now there were two Pyramid Heads to represent both the human lives that James has taken, Eddie and his wife Mary. It also explains why Pyramid Head cannot be stopped with firearms or weapons. He's not truly a physical being, but rather a created incarnation of someone's sins, something created as a form of contrition. James had needed Pyramid Head to help him understand how wrong he had acted. James will continue to run back and forth across the vast, industrial-looking room, pumping rounds into Pyramid Head. But to no avail, they kept coming. They kept trying to skewer him with their spears, until James realizes the only way to defeat Pyramid Head is to forgive himself. That's when the Pyramid Heads stop advancing towards James. Both of them start making their way to the center of the room. They each plant their spears on the ground and then impale their own heads on it. And just like the first time James saw Pyramid Head, they are still immobile. James is freed from Pyramid Head's torment. There is one last place James needs to go. He makes his way through the doors, and he's back in the nightmare version of the hotel. Reality for him is shattering. This place resembles the hotel, but also has the industrial-style architecture of wherever he just was. He makes his way to the exit of the hotel, traveling through another seemingly unending corridor, where another memory replays itself.
Mary?
What do you want, James?
I brought you some flowers.
Flowers? I don't want any damn flowers. Just go home already.
Mary, what are you saying?
Look, I'm disgusting. I don't deserve flowers. Between the disease and the drugs, I look like a monster. Well, what are you looking at? Get the hell out of here. Leave me alone already. I'm no use to anyone. I'll be dead soon anyway. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. It'd be easier if they'd just kill me. But I guess the hospital is making a nice profit off me. They want to keep me alive. Are you still here? I told you to go. Are you deaf? Don't come back. James, wait. Please don't go. Stay with me. Don't leave me alone. I didn't mean what I said. Please, James. Tell me I'll be okay. Tell me I'm not going to die. Help me.
A scene replays where we hear Mary's anguish and fear as she lashes out at James, trying to push him away, knowing that no one can take away the fear that she has of dying, and that nothing that she could do will change her fate. Mary and James, tragically, won't be getting the long life together that they wanted. After pushing James away, once Mary sees James starting to leave, she breaks down and we hear the true agony of her suffering, her loneliness, how she feels about what she's become in these last days of her life. Just like everybody else, she doesn't want to face her fate alone. She wants James, the man that she loves, there with her. She just didn't know how to ask for help, and James didn't know how to give any aid. James and Mary loved each other, even though at times they did lash out and hurt each other. But that is how relationships are. Imperfect people trying to stand next to each other, supporting each other, and trying to love each other. James sees a woman dressed like Mary. He approaches her.
Mary?
When will you ever stop making that mistake? Mary's dead. You killed her.
Maria? It's you. But I don't need you anymore.
What? You must be joking. But I can be yours. I'll be here for you forever. And I'll never yell at you or make you feel bad. That's what you wanted. I'm different than Mary. How can you throw me away?
I understand now. It's time to end this nightmare.
No, I won't let you. You deserve to die too, James.
The apparition of Mary or Maria transforms physically in front of James, resembling a woman hung upside down in a cage that also kind of resembles a bed, clearly in torment and surrounded by moths. She uses the moths to attack James, along with a spike tentacle that's growing out of her. Like in the previous boss fights, James will run back and forth across the arena to buy himself time and take shots at her. But then, James's trials and tribulations come to an end.
Mary?
James.
Forgive me.
I told you that I wanted to die, James. I wanted the pain to end.
That's why I did it, honey. I just couldn't watch you suffer. No. That's not true. You also said you didn't want to die. The truth is, I hated you. I wanted you out of the way. I wanted my life back.
James, if that were true, then why do you look so sad?
Mary?
James. Please. Please do something for me. Go on with your life.
In my restless dreams, I see that town. Silent Hill. You promised you'd take me there again someday, but you never did. Well, I'm alone there now, in our special place, waiting for you. And so I wait, wrapped in my cocoon of pain and loneliness. I know I've done a terrible thing to you, something you'll never forgive me for. I wish I could change that, but I can't. I feel so pathetic and ugly laying here, waiting for you. Every day I stare up at the cracks in the ceiling, and all I can think about is how unfair it all is. Even so, I'm glad to be coming home. I've missed you terribly. But I'm afraid, James. I'm afraid you don't really want me to come home. Whenever you come see me, I can tell how hard it is on you. I don't know if you hate me or pity me, or maybe I just disgust you. I'm sorry about that. When I first learned that I was going to die, I just didn't want to accept it. I was so angry all the time, and I struck out at everyone I loved most. Especially you, James. That's why I understand if you do hate me. But I want you to know this, James. I'll always love you. I am so sorry for what I did to you, did to us. You've given me so much, and I haven't been able to return a single thing. That's why I want you to live for yourself now.
do what's best for you, James. James, you made me happy.
So, how does Silent Hill 2 end? We don't know for sure which is considered the true canonical ending. Silent Hill 3 continues the story of Silent Hill 1, therefore we know the true ending. But there is no continuation to the story of Silent Hill 2. So we don't know which is the true ending of the various ones. But here's what I like to think. Since this is a YouTube video, and I get to choose how things end, I choose the happy ending. I choose to believe that James left Silent Hill with Laura, that James learned, understood that he had to break the cycle, and try to do better and live better, if for no other reason to help Laura. Now, it wouldn't be easy, and this wouldn't be the end of James's struggles. But I like to think that James would leave Silent Hill realizing that each day he has to make a decision to try to move past his pain and embrace healing and love. It wouldn't be easy. There will be bad days where he would fall back into old habits of self-pity, anger, resentment, and pain. But perhaps slowly he's able to accept the things that he can't change and embrace the good things in his life, and he becomes a good father to Laura. And Laura grows up knowing that there's someone that loves her unconditionally, someone that she can count on, and together they're able to forge a life with companionship, love, and affection for each other, where they will support each other and help each other heal, support each other when they make mistakes, and forgive each other when they hurt one another, as is inevitable in any relationship with more than one person. Now, to cap all this off, how would I like to leave you, the viewer? First of all, I'd like to give you my gratitude. Thank you for watching this video all the way through. It means a lot that when you put work into something that somebody watches it. But I hope that you can follow in James's footsteps in this imagined ending of mine, where you're able to heal a little bit every day, embrace the good things, and try to overcome the challenges and the adversity that you faced, and embrace the love that is in your life. Remember that regardless of how you feel, you're valuable to somebody, you matter, you are important, and your feelings are valid. It may not feel that way, but try to choose to believe that, if for no other reason, then it beats the alternative. I wish you the best. Thank you very much, and take care. I'd like to close out this video with the last lines from the movie Memento. I have to believe in a world outside my own mind. I have to believe that my actions still have meaning, even if I don't remember them. I have to believe that when my eyes are closed, the world is still there. Do I believe the world's still there? Is it still out there? Yeah. We all need mirrors to remind ourselves of who we really are. I'm no different. Now, where was I? So you hold the keys in one hand, and then you feel around with the other hand, and you find the keyhole. That is how you unlock a door in the dark. All hail the can opener.